under pressure, forcing householders to cut, stifling economic growth. Oh my Grenada. Like countries such as Dominica, St. Lucia, and Jamaica, Grenada is moving to open up the power generation sector to competition. Oh my Grenada. Like with telecommunications, competition will spur innovation, ensure efficiency and reliability, and make electricity more affordable. The economy will grow faster, and in the end, the network company will sell more. With a stronger economy, electricity usage will increase, maintaining profits for the provider while the prices gets lower for the consumer. Power to the people. Oh my Grenada. In a liberalized economy, everybody wins. Liberalization is about the people of Grenada. Fair competition, fair prices, power to the people.
Clean hands save lives. Keeping hands clean is one of the most important steps we can take to avoid getting sick and spreading germs to others. It is best to wash your hands with soap and clean running water for 20 seconds. However, if soap and clean water are not available, use an alcohol-based product to clean your hands. Alcohol-based hand sanitizers significantly reduce the number of germs on skin and are fast-acting. Follow these simple steps when using an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. 1. Apply product to the palm of your hand. 2. Rub hands together. And 3. Rub the product over all surfaces of hands and fingers until hands are dry. This is a message from the Ministry of Health.
You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada via www.hardtalkgrenada.com.
The inaugural Pure Grenada Cup Parish Football Tournament continues every weekend at a location near you. Round 4, Wednesday, April 4th and April 11th at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Round 5, Friday, April 6th and Saturday 7th at the Fawn Playing Field in St. Patrick. Round 6, Friday 13th and Saturday 14th at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Round 7, Cuthbert Peters Park in Gore, Friday the 20th and Sunday 22nd April. Also at the Lauriston Mini Stadium on April 22nd. Inside Garriku, semi-finals Saturday, April 28th, and the grand finale May 5th at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Over $70,000 to be won. Come out and represent your parish. 8 weeks of exciting football. Pure Grenada Cup. Sponsors: Cara, Pure Grenada, Flow, Castral Global Logistics, Claxcoat Rum, the Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Grenada Development Bank, Amerijet Fast Cash, Quartz Grenada Limited, Axel Finance, GBN, Coca-Cola, C-Tech Service Station, Glenelg, Spice Oil Retreaders, Hot FM, York Sneakerwear, GoodFed.com, I'm Local, Rebelicious Burgers, The South, PowerGrenada.com, Century 21, and Powerade.
You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada via www.hardtalkgrenada.com.
Yes, and good morning to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Primatic. Once again, it is time for Hard Talk. My name is Sheldon Scott.
And I'm Devon Romain.
Yeah, and I had to go and take off a speaker in the background there because the thing started to come through the speaker. Yeah. All right, yeah. No, people was wondering what's going on there this morning. They're hearing all kind of nice, weird music playing this morning. So I feel we don't know music. We know music, you know, sometimes, you understand? Yeah, sometimes we just had to play them kind of tunes, you understand? Yeah, sometimes we had to play them kind of tunes and them kind of thing there. All right. So I feel we don't know music. We know music. You see, the thing come and talking for yourself there too, you know? Yeah, the thing come and repeating for yourself there and all kind of thing. Yeah. All right. So let's say a special good morning to each and every one of you. Hey, Rhonda, good morning, love. To you, Terry, as well. Good morning, my dear. Cynthia, Sonia, Thomas, Kim. I'm seeing Scoops there, Hermina. Yeah. Good morning to each and every one of you. We hope that you're having a fabulous day today. Yeah. Now, initially, we had told you that this morning we'd have the post-cabinet press briefing, but that has been postponed to tomorrow. So the post-cabinet press briefing, that'll be taking place tomorrow, instead of today. So the person who would be facilitating post-cabinet press briefing, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, the Minister of National Security, Minister of Finance, Minister Watch, a lot of things. Excuse me. Yeah, for some reason, the throat is giving problems this morning.
Good night, too.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably something in the AC inside here or so, Yeah. It's making me cough this morning. Don't know what's going on there. Yeah. But so Devon, how was the evening?
Wow. Sort of hectic, tiring, but and not good news though. Coming out of Toronto yesterday. Most of us have seen the tragic incident that took place somewhere around Yonge Street, somewhere in Toronto, where a vehicle ran into some pedestrian, killing 10 of them. And so
it's 10 now. It was 9.
Now.
Okay. Yeah.
Injuring a number of them. And so
I hope none of our Grenadians were involved.
Or Caribbean people were involved. But
it was pretty close though to where several Grenadians are, because
exactly.
I have several friends in the area, and they were actually posting live video from what was taking place outside where they were working, the apartment building. I know I have a friend from Grenville, one from St. David, and another one there, and they were all posting photographs that they themselves were taking and live video from their mobiles. They were posting all of that all over the internet to let people know what was going on. So it's, man.
What was interesting to me, looking at the guy, he basically had a death wish. He wanted the police to shoot him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was looking at the video, one guy, which is weird. I saw the video and you see some people, they stand up there. These people had to be the dumbest dummies in Dumbland. You see a man waving a gun at a police officer aiming a gun at the man, and the people stand up watching,
Yeah.
They gawking.
But the police officer, he exercised some restraint in not firing, eh? So something told him that, he just had to wait. And so on, and the guy, I think it was a cell phone or something, he was brandishing and not a weapon. So you could see he had a death wish. He basically wanted the police, he wanted to make a statement, the police to kill him, but hey, everything just went. So our sympathies go out to all those affected.
Yeah.
Right, in that incident there. Whether you be Caribbean or Grenadian or Canadian citizen, whoever you are, your families and so, our condolences. And
you won't be seeing me putting up any filters, and I ain't no hypocrite. I ain't going to put up no filters and thing. I'm sorry about the entire thing, but I'm not going to put up any filters and this kind of thing on your thing and all kind of thing, yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay. Glenn Noel for opposition senator, and Robinson said they are waiting answer from the GG today. They sent in 3 names. Nice. Yeah, I hear in all kind of thing. But here's what. At the end of the day, on Friday, everyone will know who is taking the oath of office, because you'll have the opening of the 10th Parliament.
Yeah.
That is going to be down at the Grenada Trade Center. So everyone who can make it down there, head on down. It's going to be at the Grenada Trade Center. In fact, it's going to be historic because it will be the final one to be held at the Grenada Trade Center.
Yes.
Likely. We've had all parliament sittings historically have been held at, it's Knox House they call it.
Yeah.
Knox House. Then when Hurricane Ivan devastated that, we had a couple sittings at the SGU campus, the Bell Lecture Hall of the SGU campus. And then after all this stuff was moved out from the trade center that was there for the hurricane relief, it was held at the Grenada Trade Center and has been held at the Grenada Trade Center from 2005 till now. Yeah, so 2005 till now. So quite a while. That's what, 10, 11, 12, 13 years. This has been held at the Grenada Trade Center. So this will be the final... well, should be. You never know. Next thing they decide, I want to have a next one down for some reason there. But this should be the final swearing in of the Parliament itself. And when I say swearing in of the Parliament, the various members of Parliament will have to take an oath again on Friday. Yeah, the senators on both sides, the senators, the government senators, the senators representing the different communities, and so they'll all have to take their oath of office on Friday. And together with that, you'll also have the I think from the Prime Minister down, everybody else has to take an oath of office as well. Yeah, a Speaker of the House has to be selected. It's a new Parliament, so you have to select a Speaker of the House. Whether you're going to have the same Speaker of the House or a new Speaker of the House, whichever way it is, you're going to have that happening as well on Friday. So there's quite a lot that's going to be happening on Friday. You also have to select the President of the Senate. Yeah, I think, yeah, you have to select the President of the Senate.
Would that happen there, or would that happen at the first sitting of the
I
Senate?
think it happens there, you know. Or I can't remember if it happens there or didn't.
Because I think there has to be a vote.
Yeah, there has to be, no, but vote could take place there because you'll have all the senators there. So a vote can take place there. I'm trying to remember, and my mind is a bit fuzzy on that one, you know. Yeah. If it's going to take place, I believe it takes place on Friday, yeah. It takes place on Friday because you select the Speaker on Friday. And I think you select the President of the Senate on Friday. There has to be a vote in relation to that. Yeah? So that'll be some of the activities taking place on Friday. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so there you will see, wow, we expect to see a number of new senators being sworn in on Friday. We have the agriculture senator.
Mm-hmm. You definitely will have a new one there. Yeah.
And so you would, well, let's wait and see for the trade unions. Most likely will be.
I ain't saying that, man. Yeah. I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
So,
unless they say, I don't know.
We wait on the business. And
so they I don't know too. So until they say, yeah, so because you never know. Sometimes you're thinking, yes, it's going to be this person, it end up being another person.
And then we await the appointment from the Governor General of the other 3 senators.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and so
I think the National Democratic Congress would have sent in 3 names.
Okay.
It does not mean that the Governor General is beholden to them to select all 3.
All 3 of them.
She can, if she so desires, but it does not mean that she is beholden to anybody to select any names that they would have submitted. So she can, as well as she could just totally ignore it and go ahead,
go somewhere.
With somewhere else with some other names. I think there was a report on GBN last night about a particular name representing a particular area, but I'm not too sure. I didn't hear the report myself. So what I'm giving is second-hand information.
I can't comment much. Just speculation. Even you were even hearing over the airways 3 names brandishing from the National Democratic Congress, which they sent in.
Well, they sent in the 3 names. Yeah. It's up to Her Excellency if she decides. After she does the proper whatever, she would decide. Well, yes, I'm going with these 3 names, or no, I'm going to go with 1, or I'm going to go with 2, I'm going to go with all 3, or I'll go with none. Yeah. It's up to her. Yeah, it's all up to her.
And then you have the Prime Minister who has to announce another 3 senators, I believe, to fill his slate of government senators.
Yeah.
And so in the Parliament. So it's only a few more days to go before the 10th sitting of Parliament, and so hey, we wait with anxiety and we see
Angelique. I find Angelique like confusion. Yeah. Angelique, you look like a real confusion woman, you know. What do you mean if they didn't send the tongue girl? No, they didn't send the tongue girl. You like confusion girl. Why are you like that?
Let the tongue girl stay where she is.
The original town girl? Yeah, they have not. No. The National Democratic Congress have taken the decision that none of their defeated candidates would have been suggested as possibilities for the Senate. They did not send any of the 15 candidates. They didn't send any of their names. Yeah?
Well, hey, they have very good advisors, and so advising them as to not to do that. So hey, it's it's on them, and so, but it doesn't make I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to comment. It's not all about them. But
you don't want to comment. That's what we're here to do. Comment. Say thing.
But on Friday we will see the total package of Parliament, and so on. We'll be able to make much more comments as to who they are and everything.
What we can say is that thus far, the selections both by the Prime Minister as government ministers, and the selection by the farmers, which we are sure on. We know the farmers have selected that individual. The others we do not know. What we can say is that in all instances, so far as I'm concerned, spot on. Yeah. Spot on. Yeah. Spot on. Yeah, that's what I could say. Yeah, thus far. Let's just give this bit of information here. Hi, Wendy. Service interruption for St. George. The National Water and Sewage Authority wishes to advise consumers in Grand Anse Valley, Circular Drive, Frequente, Grand Anse Housing Scheme and surrounding communities in the parish of St. George that the interruption currently being experienced in their supply is due to repairs to a damaged main. Consumers are therefore advised to utilize their stored supply, taking into consideration the needs of their family members and pets. Restoration is anticipated by 2 p.m. today, Tuesday the 24th of April, 2018. However, some, especially those on high elevations, may not receive their supply immediately, but within 2 hours after the scheduled restoration period. The authority apologizes for any inconveniences caused and thanks consumers for their patience as we work towards the delivery of a safe, adequate, and reliable supply of water. See, the throat start again, Devon. NOASA committed to meeting consumers' needs. Yeah? Benji, when you're coming, bring 2 bottles of water first. Yeah. Benji, when you're coming into the studio, bring a 2. Anybody, just message Benji and tell him first. When you come and bring 2 bottles of water into the studio. Because something is up. Something is up, man, and my coffee's done, man.
Nose is running and all sort of thing. But hey,
my coffee's done. Yeah, I have no coffee in here today.
We're there, and again, extended good morning again to all of you on the live who have just joined us, and so good morning to you and wherever you are, from Toronto to New York to wherever. Yeah. Good morning, London in the house. Good morning.
Tomorrow we expect Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honourable Keith Mitchell to be on the program. On the post-cabinet press briefing, not here, but on the post-cabinet press briefing, where he'll be giving an overview of things since election. So you'll be hearing from Prime Minister and the political leader of the new National Party, but in his role as Prime Minister. And so you'll be hearing from different departments, and so that he oversees, and also a general something. Just came back from the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. We know that the Windrush issue, as it's being called, is a serious issue that has been affecting a lot of Grenadians. In fact, one Grenadian is rumored to have lost his life due to that situation. You've had many others who are coming to the Caribbean and then can't return to the UK because their status has been called into question. Even some, after living 59 years in the UK, are being denied re-entry. So there's a lot that's happening. Yeah, there's quite a lot that's happening. Yeah? All right. What I'm going to do, though, I'm going to take a short break, get me some water, and be right back in studio because I can't continue like that. So I'm going to take a short break and be right back.
For over 2 decades, Grenada has had one of the highest electricity rates in the world. In a non-competitive environment, the high rates have been putting businesses under pressure, forcing householders to cut, stifling economic growth. Oh my Grenada. Like countries such as Dominica, St. Lucia, and Jamaica, Grenada is moving to open up the power generation sector to competition. Oh my Grenada. Like with telecommunications, competition will spur innovation, ensure efficiency and reliability, and make electricity more affordable. The economy will grow faster, and in the end, the network company will sell more. With a stronger economy, electricity usage will increase, maintaining profits for the provider while the prices gets lower for the consumer. Power to the people. Oh my Grenada. In a liberalized economy, everybody wins. Liberalization is about the people of Grenada. Fair competition, fair prices, power to the people.
Ooh, yeah. I am stuck between a rock and a hard place in this modern time. God gave us a gift, we brain and we cranium, still he gave us a mind. Think about positive endeavor so low, they brain living in the dust. Because they would see it on the name of a brother with malice intention, when instead they could be uplifting a sister for life progression. It is so hard now when a man turn a big man and still didn't grow. But the reason they procrastinate and gossip is because their mind is poor. So I say poor mind will gossip. Illiteracy, simple mind, talk about places that they could never be. Ordinary mind, talk about events and personalities, but wouldn't mind speak about ideas, and great mind speaks philosophy. The mind is such a spiritual force, will make you do what's right. And for sure, my friends, you are in control, so there's no reason to fight. I know you heard this before. Life is how you make it, so be honorable. Now when you sit in a state of idleness, not making your mind simple. Now all you should know, your mind is the center of your universe. A bad thing to waste. Yes, man, in all different sizes, and in your head it was placed to uplift and elevate those around me with tremendous grace. Positive is always the way to go. I want to please stay away from his, because I say poor mind will gossip.
There's so much going on with the NNP, and we're just getting started. From candidate launches to contests, events, and breaking news, be in the know. Get notified first about big events and announcements. Plus, we're here to listen. We want to hear from you. Leave us a comment, tell us what's working and what's not. Like what we're doing? Let us know. The NNP is working for you. Interact with us on Facebook. Come on, Grenada, get connected. Like us on Facebook/NNP Grenada and keep moving.
Technical man, we back in studio. Yeah, you could put us back, you know.
Hey, Kenny Callis, man. Good morning to you, cuz it's been a while, bro. Wherever you are listening to us and you are live, hey, good morning to you and your family, man. Nice hearing from you. Let's keep it, up.
No, that's much better. Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's much, much, much better. Right, yeah, no, get wet and all kind of thing outside, rain falling and all kind of thing in between.
Beautiful, man.
This Kenny is not Kenny the artist that the guy would sing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Toronto.
Okay. All right, yeah. Yeah, about a Kenny the artist the last time. Yeah.
First cousin.
Yeah, man. Hey, NNP youth, good morning to you all. Akinyele, morning, boss. And I see Irvin reaching the thing. Yeah, Irvin sneaky now. He find he ain't get enough cuss yesterday between Hannah and them. They ain't deal with it till he come in this morning. Yeah,
Chris, I gonna do you some injustice tomorrow, or when I gonna bring the mangoes for you. You really want that mangoes? I gonna bring it for you.
Oh, we're flooded in mangoes now.
Oh, plenty of mangoes.
We're flooded in
all type of mangoes.
Yes. So, hey, I've also another piece of information that I must put out on behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture and Lands, and this is a very serious one. The Ministry of Agriculture and Lands wishes to inform the general public, especially individuals already in or interested in joining the beekeeping sector, that it is illegal to import bees from other regional islands as well as internationally. Persons seeking to bring in Africanized bees from Trinidad are also asked to stop immediately, as these bees would destroy our native bees and are very harmful to the Grenadian population. The ministry is also asking all persons engaged in beekeeping and not registered as a beekeeper within the ministry to kindly do so. The ministry has a farmers registration process where all farmers registered with the ministry are issued an identification card. Once again, Africanized bees, also known as killer bees, are very dangerous and shouldn't be allowed into our island. The ministry would treat this matter very seriously. Any information about persons bringing Africanized bees from Trinidad can be reported to Mr. Kwesi Williams, and he's the Veterinary and Livestock Division, Ministry of Agriculture, And you can find him on 440-2708, 440-3078, and 440-3083. Now, who is the mad people, the crazy, sick, and psychotic idiots that would look to bring Africanized bees into Grenada? Who is that stupidity? No, seriously, I really want to know. Because that person should be locked up. Locked up. Jail them. Any one of them. Ministry of Agriculture and Royal Grenada Police Force. Anybody you find that is dotish enough to take Africanized bees and bring them into this country should be locked up. Now, Africanized bees, if you don't know about Africanized bees, these have been responsible for several deaths in Trinidad and around the world. They are bigger, they are more vicious than normal bees. Yeah? So they would swarm. If Africanized bees are found in an area, you have to actually clear everybody out of the area and call a specialized team to come and rid the place of the Africanized bees. Because they kill people. Yeah, it's not like normal bees that go about the business. One might bite you. Also, if you go into a hive that they bite you, Africanized bees leave one area and just go and start to kill people. They've killed children. They've killed big people because they sting in mass. It's like thousands of them just jump onto you and bite you up. And if somebody is stupid enough to try to introduce that type of bee into Grenada, then in my opinion, I don't know about you, Devon, but in my opinion, that person or persons must be held responsible for the death of anyone that comes about due to the introduction of Africanized bees into our country. You have to be a special type of stupid to do that one.
If you catch them with that in their possession, I would charge them for attempted murder.
Serious?
No, I'm serious.
Anybody that is found to do something like that, believe me, needs to be arrested.
Yeah.
I no if what about it, no apologies. Arrest them.
Why would you want to do something like that? We have so much bees. I mean, look, Grenada has been rated the #1 in the world for the purest, the best honey you will find. You think we did that with Africanized bees? No, we did that with our own local bees. Why would you want to introduce something that is harmful and dangerous to the people of this country? I mean, that is so.
These have been found to kill in Trinidad. I knew of several instances where they killed livestock, like they killed cows, sheep, dogs. They've killed, and that's just outside of human beings. They have swarmed these animals and killed them. And it's not the type of bee that say, okay, then if they have you have a situation that you go into their hive that they attack you. No, these bees leave from area to area, and sometimes they go into a village, and the first person that they can latch on to, they swarm that person and they kill them. So why would anybody be so crazy to go and find this type of bee in Trinidad and try to bring it here?
Introduce it in our country.
I think sometimes we have to take a step back and try and utilize the thing called common sense. Yeah, we have to utilize the thing called common sense. Like I had some friends of mine, I'll say there's my friends, but some associates that went to a particular area and released rabbits into the wild. Now we know they have a term that's called multiplying like rabbits. And they don't say that term just like that. They say multiplying like rabbits because rabbits are very dangerous to agriculture. If they multiply in significant enough numbers, they can destroy crops in a particular area. So anybody doing farming in that particular area would be in for a lot of problems. Because your cabbage, nothing you put on gonna harass, the rabbits will eat it out. And then it is near impossible to get rid of all of them after. But you have people doing things like that and not taking into consideration the environment. This craziness.
Why would you want to let them go through? Why not, kill them and sell them? Use them for meat. They're rich in proteins. Come on. They're expensive. You pay about $19 a pound for rabbit.
Like for instance, a lesser one, but still one that we have to take into consideration. when you go to Granatang Lake, the fish in there is not endemic to Grenada, which means that you are endangering the fish that are. So the fish that may be there, that may be contributing to the ecological balance of the Granatang Lake, you may be endangering them by introducing other species that were never there. Yes, the species would be there. Yes, they would get big. Yes, they come and they take over, and it's a lot of them, and they're nice to look at and all that sort of thing. But they are not from there.
No, you destroy what's originally.
So you destroy what was originally there. And we have to be careful, because like everybody just feel that they could just go and bring what they want and do what they want. And a stop has to be put to it. You can't do those kind of things. Yeah? That is craziness. So I cannot understand how anyone can go and try to bring in Africanized bees. So again, the Ministry of Agriculture, it is informing everybody, especially those involved in beekeeping. So if you want to get involved in beekeeping, do not try to contact anybody in Trinidad and bring bees here. No. And some of you're hearing that and you're still going and try it underhand. You're going and sneak it up on a boat inside some crate or some kind of thing under something and still try to bring it up. Please, do not do it. Yeah? Grenada has been ranked, as Devon was saying, #1 in the world at several meetings, several shows. Yeah, especially Jessamy, out there in the back, that place, what does call it in the back there?
Boucheju after going inside.
After Boucheju going inside there, yeah.
Inside there, oh, look at how we forget it.
I can't remember the name of inside there, no?
Yes.
Yeah, Nazim Benjamin, tell us the name of inside there, right? Yeah. But inside there has been rated highly, gold medal for Grenada's honey. Trinidad, which is Trinidad. Minister Oliver Joseph has been fighting a battle for the last 5 years to make sure that our honey can get into the Trinidad market. Why would anybody want to go and take bees from Trinidad and bring into Grenada? Well, but only reintroduce millibug as well. I can't understand.
I mean, that is so not cool, right?
No, but it is in danger, and this is actually is the same thing as if you put a loaded weapon into the hand of a child. Yeah, you're encouraging danger.
Yeah. Grenvilleville, yes.
Grenvilleville,
yes. That's the area where across Boucheju, between Boucheju and Willis, Grenvilleville.
Right. So we have to be careful. Africanized bees. Or they will take African. Watch, jail them. I mind. Yeah, my tax dollars could pay for that for them people in jail doing that. I don't mind. No, I don't mind. My tax dollars pay to keep some of them inside there for stupidity. Yeah. Because somebody will get killed. Some people will be killed. If they continue to do that kind of stupidness, what is going to happen is that some people will be killed. So those of you that are working on the boats, the cargo boats, coming up, going down and coming up from Trinidad, please, if you realize that anyone is trying to bring that, yeah, come and sit down, man, come. You're like, hey, man, look, sit there, come and sit down. Nice. Yeah. If you realize, you see, that's why Deepo ain't talking online today. Deepo in the studio. Yeah. Don't feel like going and sit down in the back there and get away. No, Devon fix them up there. They will come across, so. And we put in all of them going on camera today. A certain man say that reach in time to come and think, Nazim. Right. Nazim, you're operating like the next Nazim now. You know? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm trying to understand what type of madness, what type of craziness, what kind of loconess would cause any individual to go and attempt to bring into the Isle of Spice. That ain't gonna work, okay? You gotta go so. Yeah, they ain't gonna work. You gotta go so. Yeah. Any individual to bring Africanized bees into the state of Grenada, that person had to be a mad person. They had to be crazy. They had to be crazy. That one still ain't seen nobody there. You gotta go more so. More so the better. Yeah, man. Yes, folks. So we had two gentlemen in the studio with us, and thing taking place and all kind of thing. Them men early, them men tell me 11. Next thing them men and them appear already, That's good. Right, that's good. No, don't come so. More so as you could go, the better. Yeah. Nice.
All right. One sit there, one. Let's see.
You're still in checking, mate. So that one right. Now you're getting the nice. Good. Yeah. All right, yeah, I think we have a call online. Let me hear what our caller had to say. Good morning.
Morning, under the nutmeg tree.
Under the nutmeg tree.
Yeah, you know, as I sit down listening, I see I'm always getting a call this morning. As you're talking about the honey.
Yeah. Go right ahead, man.
My boss trying hard to get our honey to sell in England. Right?
Yeah.
My boss is trying hard to get our honey to sell in England. Since last year, you're working on that. And you ain't giving it up.
No, so, you must.
Say it, my brother. I'm listening to you.
Yes, my boy. All right, thank you. Yeah, I mean, you can't do a thing like that. How can you try to bring into the state of Grenada Africanized bees? Somebody had to come and tell you that. I mean, you don't have enough common sense to know not to do that. Somebody have to put out a press release to tell you that a bee that named killer bee, the name of the bee is killer bee. It does call it killer bees. It's Africanized killer bees. That's the name of the bee. Somebody had to tell you not to bring that into Grenada. I mean, come on, jail them. Any one of them, jail them. I myself driving the transporter and bring them up to Richmond Hill. Jail them. All right, anyway, we're done with that one. Right, I see Pan Man inside. I do have pan music to play. That is bad enough. That is a bad thing. You have Pan Man inside here today, and I do have pan music to play. Depot. Well, it's good to finally make your acquaintance, sir.
Well, good to sit
in the person.
Good to sit in the seat of royalty.
Let me fix up too earlier there, so we could get Devon in the conversation too. Once a little talk, then we good. And Devon, you go share here. Yeah, we good to go there. Nice, beautiful. Yes, gentlemen, Steel Pan. And I know two of you all are very passionate about Grenada's Steel Pan.
Yeah, one is a senior citizen and one is
What are you trying to tell me? All it was wrong when pan was invented?
It seemed that way, yeah.
This guy only look like that, sir. He has some numbers.
But I hear this man was wrong on the Carnage when it had a beach in front by where the court is now.
Well,
yeah, before it had a road, it had a beach there.
Easter Water Parade.
Oh, that's when Uncle Gary did put on the thing. Uncle Gary go and he put on the Easter Water Parade down there and them kind of thing.
Yeah, and the pan house was by the fish market, opposite Bra Fish Shop.
Yeah, right.
So that's what the pan house was.
Oh, yeah.
Among other places.
Among other places. Give us a little historical background on, well, Angel Harps, New Dimensions, because I know you would know about the different ones. Give us a little historical background on, first of all, on the Steel Pan movement here in Grenada. I know you would have a lot of information on that.
Well, I could speak on mostly on the issue of Angel Harps. And as you know, you might know that the band members came from the areas of Spring and Woburn and Belmont. Smasher, guys like Sabu. Angel Harps was known as a reputation band, not only for music. They had a soul tuner. His name was George Groney. He was a founder of Angel Harps. And in 1968, some conflict arose in the band, and he decided that he was going to depart. Now, Grenada had a national tuner, pan tuner. Believe it or not, his name was Wilfred Harris.
I heard that name before.
Wilfred Harris. Today we don't have a national tune, and it shows, I don't know how stagnated the movement is. Not only a national pan tuner, steel bands participated in panorama and festivals. The last steel band festival was in 1969. That's a shame.
Wow.
And I always make the case.
Before I born,
and I always make the case that pan should not define, panorama should not define pan. Pan is more than panorama. And the struggles would take a week. But it so happened that through the transition, and because of how Angel Harps viewed their organization, instead of going with the national pan tuner, and you must understand the mindset of pan men them. They were very, very loyal to the institution. They had to use a guy in the wharf by the name of Brother Broff. Now, he was known for tuning tourist pan. But because Wilfred Harris tuned for Wayside and bands like that, they did not commit to Harris. They decided, even if they have to go to Panorama, with a tuner, unknown tuner, they would go with Brother Broff. Now, at that time, I played with a band called Panasonic. Father Emmanuel was the arranger. And in 1969, we went up against Angel Harps as a young man. Quite a few of us. Smasher was part of Angel Harps, the older guys. And we put a licking on them. It was the first time a steel band incorporated a classical piece. And we did Ida and Mass in Madison Square Garden. And they played, I think, the Bull. And we put a licking on them. And by the middle of 1969, we came together and we won the festival. And so that's a brief kind of, then when we decided, I don't know if you know Reagan Mendez, Ned, she arranged for Dimension, the classical part of it. The convent girls, St. Joseph Convent, decided they were going to, they wanted Angel Harps to teach them to play pan. And I think the image of the band changed then, from a renegade band to be a very receptive group of people. We showed a face that most people did not see. And that was the beginning of women playing pan in Grenada. And briefly, from there, that's
so that would have been what year again?
Before you were born.
But the reason I'm asking is because even in the Trinidad context, even up to the 70s, the early 80s, the woman was just a flag woman. You were in front and you waving the flag, but the steel pan was actually played by the men.
Yeah.
So you had the guys come out from Lavantil, pushing the steel pan, the plane, and other areas, but the woman was mainly just you stand up in front and you wave the flag.
Yeah, I think it was
and
until
mid
80s when Despot had a bass woman. I think her name just slipped right.
The woman on the bass.
That's where the song "The Woman on the Bass" came from.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's commonplace, no? I mean,
well, in some organizations, the women outnumber the men. You know, it has gotten to that point now. You know, that revolution has, really taken root. So yeah, you know, it's great to have them on board. You know, like Depo was alluding to, you know, it started to change the face of how society accepted panmen, because panmen was known as bajans and, you know, hooligans and vagabonds and, you know, all those sort of names. No.
Good for nothing.
Good for nothing.
Let me ask now. So you're supposed to fight too then?
Wait, you know, I was.
Come deeper. Don't hide it. You're supposed to fight.
I was a coward.
72,
I was a. Well, we're going to get there with the vehicle.
With the vehicle.
Okay, we're going to. Yes. But what is interesting though is the composition of ladies that played. When they came, you had Prime Minister Gary daughter. You had Pridham daughter. Yes, and you had Sister Gertrude, who was like an overseer, looking at these perceived bad behaved guys teaching convent girls how to play pan. And it reached a point when these girls started to play, you couldn't tell the difference between the seasoned pan men and the convent girls. And we had the opportunity of going to places. Normally, I could recall once we were invited to Government House at Belden there. And we were skeptical because Wharf Boys used to wear suit. So they insist that we should come. That was during the Black Power time. So we decided we're going to do a Nehru suit kind of thing. We introduced a Nehru Black Power. And we went to government house and we had police saluting us, you know. And so the face of pan changed, you know, and the flavor of pan changed, you know. It's unfortunate that pan have to struggle the way it is struggling today. And I guess we could briefly discuss why.
Yeah. No, we've seen that change taking place. We've seen the change start up back in from the 1960s coming up to the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and so. We've also seen Panorama itself change. Sadly, it hasn't changed for the good, and none of us will say it's changed for the good.
Agree.
What are some of the things that you believe would have caused Panorama to be in the position and situation that it is right now? The things that probably, if they were stamped out early enough, may have saved it. And when do you think that that change started taking place? That the negative change itself?
Well, let me say one thing. There has been some positives in Panorama. One I would allude to is the fact that you have so many young people, so many kids embracing Pan and Panorama, where you would have found in the 70s, early 80s, the average size of a band would have been about 22 to 25, 30 at maximum. Mm-hmm. You have bands today, and even some junior bands around the 80, 90 mark, even hindered by the fact that there isn't enough band that some of them can get to 100. So there has been growth in the participation of Pan. I think the issue really is the wider acceptance of Pan. I think the years in the early 80s, mid 80s, when Pan arrangers started to do their own composition, I think there might have been some issue there where people weren't able to follow the tune because they weren't familiar with it. It wasn't a familiar piece. No, that came about simply because those early years of the 80s, Pan tuners felt that they weren't getting music early enough, music of a good enough quality that they can then arrange a 10-minute piece to. So they started creating their own compositions, mid-80s into the 90s. And I think less people started following Pan there. But suffice to say, and I always would come back to the media. No matter what you play, whether it's something, sung by a popular calypsonian or a piece, arranged or made specifically for Pan, if the media plays their part and push that piece of music, then people will become familiar. The average calypsonian is going to the studio, pen a song, starts and singing it. Nobody knows it then. Mm-hmm. The media helps assist and push that so that it gets that airplay, it gets that listenership, so then the song starts, as you say, grow on us. It becomes familiar. Some like it, some don't like it. So, the media has that part to play. Over the last 5 years or so, Steelman has noticed that could be one of the reasons. You hear ardent supporters say, look guys, you guys need to go back to something that people will recognize. We have. My hope is that it is not too late. Mm-hmm. My hope it is that because of that, we would now be able to re-engage persons to come back to the Panyard. Because I think that is one of the things that is missing, that whole build-up to Carnival, that whole Panyard line. I know steel bands such as us, Angel Harps and Comancheros and so, have had nights where we call official Pan Lime nights, where you could come down, there's stuff on sale. You can buy your t-shirt, you can buy, there's waters. We will cater for you, Devon, don't worry. You can get your waters, you can listen to the music, you can interact with the players. There are times we've invited the media down to come. Some came, some didn't. But it is that a holistic approach where we have to engage people a lot earlier. And I keep saying, the media does have its part to play. I think we as Panmen have gone back to the more familiar compositions, so that even when it's arranged, patrons at Panorama would be able to follow the line of music that you're familiar with, So, like I said, I'm hoping it's not too late. The Pan Association has taken. We're only going to play familiar tunes, and for now we're sticking with just local tunes, so that people would be able to. All the bands are going to be playing local tunes by Calypsonians over the last 5 or so years, so they will be very familiar tunes. So with that, we're hoping that we'll be able to attract more people. I know there's a lot of the school for thought going out there as to what you should twin Panorama with, or what you should do this with, or what you should do that with, whether it's a bingo, whether it's this or whether it's that. I think we need to focus on the development of the art form and getting people to love the idea of listening to Pan. Some people find this confusing because I dare say they may not have been introduced to it properly. Come down to the Pan yard, listen to the band practice, get an ear for the music, and I'm sure you would be able to appreciate it.
At the same time, Brian, I don't want to let the Steel Band Association off the hook. Over the years, that's my observation, the voice, although they had a voice, it was a soft voice. And I say soft in the sense that, let's take for example, when the concept of Monday Night Mass came about through Troy Garvey and the rest, it was to promote Pan, to give Pan an elbow space. And between organizing that forum, somehow they were muscled out by that commercial entity that we now know as Monday Night Mass. And I'm saying, in my days as a Pan man, no one, whether it's DJ or any other, have been able to muscle out an Angel Harps or an ABBA or a Wayside from collectively parading on that night. And I fault the Steel Band Association. Now, we need to think also out of the box. I remember making recommendations a few years ago. I touched base with some bands in New York. I played with Adlib in Long Island for 2 years after rheumatism stepped in. And I suggested that an 8-piece competition. They had 4 bands from New York willing to come. Now, if you have an 8-piece competition the same night with Panorama International, it means that 8 people from Adlib or from Rados coming to Grenada would bring 30 people with them to support them for a first price of $25,000, which could be negotiated through a sponsor. And these are things we need to look at. The bingo is okay, but you don't have to wear a dress that attract somebody else on a Pan night. We cannot compete with White in the Moonlight. That's unstoppable. But we can think outside the box in order to attract the faithfuls, the Pan Jumbies who love Pan. There's still a lot out there. And I'm saying this to say, we need to incorporate, even if you bring a band like All Stars, just to play on a stage forum during Panorama Night, you would attract invaders. And I'm an invader, and I'm a Renegades person, or Renegades, for example. You would attract a crowd, and I'm saying we need to think out the box. There was a forum not too long ago, I think on Saturday, and some good ideas came out. I hope they would follow through. I was just speaking to Brian about that. But one of the things, too, I think need to be done, as I say, you never hear about any individual getting a PhD in jab. But Berkeley is offering scholarship, Pan Music scholarship. And we need to look that way so that we can encourage our students, giving them scholarships to study not only music, but Pan music.
But isn't that a sort of failure, not just for Grenada, but for the region, that we've allowed a North American university to offer a scholarship in what is intrinsically a West Indian creation and a West Indian something, so that the University of the West Indies doesn't offer it?
Well, I think there is a musical program at the at UWI, and I think a lot of the Exodus players, if I'm not mistaken, are part of that program.
But a specific program for steel band?
A specific program for steel band and music.
At UWI?
At UWI.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of universities over the worldwide that are offering programs.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you can have a career in music.
Yeah.
You can, you know, one name that will come to mind is Anthony Chichester, who plays with the Angel Harps, who went to Northern Illinois and has a degree. He judges panorama
all over,
you know, throughout the Caribbean and even in North America, I think. I know. So there is that avenue. There is that, you know, to make a career out of it. And you know, as to support what Depo has said earlier on, I think it's not only steel band that is failing. A lot of our arts, we don't seem to want to push it now. I mean, you look at dance, for instance, it's the same thing, pan inclusive. You know, you look at mass. You know, years ago we had wire benders. We don't anymore.
Absolutely.
You know, exactly. You know, so you know, it has to be an all-inclusive, you know, approach when it comes to our culture, in terms of to get young people involved and to keep them there. You know, they have to be able to see a future in it.
The pan is not just a hobby anymore. Neither is it an incidental art form. It's an integral art form, and one of the things that upset me is the whole question of this national event measured by gate receipt and by crowd. I have a problem with that. Panorama is a national event. I know at times they black sheep it in terms of crowd and gate receipt. When you do a careful examination of the other events, they're not doing well either. Even the biggest in terms of gate receipts because of the payout. So we have to treat it as a national event. And therefore, going forward, we have to view pan whether the gate receipts are down, change of location or whatever, as a national event. And when you look at the caliber of people coming out of the steel band movement, we're talking about doctors, we're talking about lawyers, we're talking about engineers, and we can name them. So it helps in the intellect in studying. You know, when you marry pan or any art form, you know, you get from that people that professionals, in other words, and that is a plus that is so often not seen by the wider Grenadian public. The caliber of people leaving the pan house and going into institution of higher learning.
Okay, folks, and if you want, you can call in 440-7377, and Devon, you know your number is never
347-329-3101. That's the overseas line.
Well, I'm seeing Terry saying here that her 4-year-old wants to play pan. So Terry, we go link you up with Brad.
Yeah,
we go link you up with Brad. Yeah.
Brad, over the years we have seen, as you rightly said, the downfall for whatever reason of the pan, right, as a movement, but I prefer to see it as an institution.
Yes,
right?
It is.
It is an institution.
It is.
In Grenada. And what are some of the plans that the association have, right, to basically bring back or bring pan right into the spotlight once more, and not just encouraging people just to come out and see pan, but you know, what are some of the things that you really want that the association wants to put out there, you know, to lift the nose of pan again?
Well, Devon, let me say I can't really speak on behalf of the Steel Band Association, because I'm no longer an executive member of the Steel Band Association. But
you want to put yourself in trouble today.
I sit on the General Council, so it is from that perspective. We have submitted a MOU to the ministry that in itself is going to be a working document in process, because there is going to be some changes. there is thought in terms of getting people more into the business aspect of PAN when it comes to certain aspects of training, whether it's in PAN tuning, whether it's in arranging, that sorts. So from that MOU that went forward to the ministry, there's going to be a lot coming from that. I think last Saturday there was, alluded to it earlier on, there was a symposium at the Spice Basket. I dare say that I don't think that came off very well. I think the timing may have been an issue coming up against the Invitational. But suffice to say, a lot of one of the things too I think we would have hindered PAN and in general is the lack of a home, the lack of someone or persons, a small secretariat maybe in the corner of the ministry, sitting there working 24, 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, 8 to 4, with only the business of PAN and forward planning the business of PAN. I think without that, we're basically scratching dirt. We're not going to motor forward as fast as we can. A lot of things are going to slip by the wayside. It's one of the things the old executive realized, hence the reason why this new executive is now in place, with the hope that we'll have people with a little more time on their hand to spend handling the business of PAN. Like I said, part of that whole document that went forward is trying to get a secretariat up and running for PAN so that we can have someone or two persons, as the case may be, sitting there dedicated to the business of PAN and the business of growing the whole aspect of the art form, whether it's through programs in the school, educational programs, etc.
Now we see the panorama comes around. Last year we had that issue that we hope we will never ever see in life again. We had that issue. In fact, no, we hope. We have to make sure that we never see that. We ain't hoping. We have to make sure that never happens again.
I was just about to correct
we are not hoping that one. It can't happen again.
Can't happen again.
Right. So we have to get to that stage. And I'm really hoping that all the people that was mouthing off last year, that when I enter Panorama this year, when I come to Panorama, that I see some of them around as well. Not just talking and sitting at home, but actually, in fact, I wouldn't want any radio station to bring it because I want everybody to come and see. Don't feel going and sit down home and listen. Come. You can play it on radio afterwards. But
show your support in action.
Yes. Come to the activity. The same way some of us go to the Mardi Gras and we go to Soca Monarch and we shop, go to the activity itself. No, but outside of that, do you think in the same way that we have concerts throughout the year and we have artists coming in and so, that something similar may work in the vein for Steel Pan throughout the year, having these different activities? You said the last time there was is a Pan Jamboree, you call it?
No, Steel Band Festival.
Steel Band Festival.
It was 1969 at the Regal Cinema.
Yeah, so I mean, probably it's something that has to be looked at again, because I think people just generally see Steel Band in two ways in Grenada. They see it as, you see a truck pass with some going down to play at a hotel, and then Carnival time, it have Panorama. That Saturday is Panorama. And that's just about it. They don't see it outside of that. Maybe you hear somebody play a solo in a church or a funeral or something, but you don't generally hear it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I as I say, Panorama should not define Pan. There's still an audience out there. There's still a remnant out there that would appreciate Pan Festival. Now, the Pan Festival comprised of 3 pieces: a calypso, a test piece, and a classical piece. Now, mind you, during the time of Gary Rain, although the band had its differences with him in certain aspect, the police band were utilized to ensure that they send out those trained to arrange for the bands. Now, I'm not seeing that. I know the police band is one of the best in the region. No doubt about that.
I'm not correct you. The best. we are not second best here. The best.
Yeah, but one of the things...
fellas park up outside it, don't
yeah. one of the things I would like to see, they utilize, Angel Harps overuse Clarkson. I mean, and they use like Peter He's now deceased. That's the guy they named after the drum corps.
Peter Phillips.
Peter Phillips. And Brad Bullen's wife, she did the pieces for Comancheros. Reagan was a young. As a matter of fact, Reagan stated publicly that it was the festival arrangement in the Coles Market on the wharf that really drove her towards Pan and arranging when she heard Angel Harp playing Jerusalem. That was the piece that they played. So having a Pan festival, maybe in SGU auditorium, or in the stadium, partition off for a group of people, that can lift the face of steel band. I also think that if you do something like a senior citizen individual piece, like from Grand Roy, you let a senior citizen go up against a senior citizen. Well, we have to qualify senior citizen. And you have that stage, like what they have in now, the senior Queen show, St. Andrews, that attract people, not because of beauty, but because of the intrigue. I think that incorporating a senior citizen test piece, or an individual test piece would draw people. Somebody like me that would forget on a second note. I could still play, I have the skill, but I can't remember. People would come to hear them. So you had to think out of the box. And I think that Pan is still alive. Once they have young people, Pan would never die. Pan is still alive. Pan is part of us. And therefore, we have to start thinking outside the box and, looking to attract the white in the moonlight crowd. You're not looking to attract them. You wouldn't.
While Depot goes back to 68 and the festival, of recent times, coming out of the Ministry of Culture, there were oh Lord, it just slipped me right now. But there were Festival of Arts.
Mm-hmm.
There were a Pan aspect of through the Festival of Arts that used to take
in the
place.
1990s.
Yes, and the GBSS Auditorium.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. And there have been moves again, moves afoot to create or to establish and to get off a classical composition, because I think that is absolutely what is missing. My view is that Pan was invented to play classical music. Pan is an orchestra. It has so many different voices that the only thing that can compete with it is a 50, 60, 80 piece orchestra, because that is what it really is, right? That is exactly what it is. So I know there have been talk, again, that is all part of the MOU that is put forward to the ministry. So I'm hoping sooner rather than later we will hear more about that, a second competition type, which will be based on a test piece, more on classical rather than calypso. You speak to any Pan enthusiast, any Pan man, they're ready, waiting, and willing for something like that. I don't like playing calypso on Pan. I think the best piece of music you can get, you can get my blood running, and it's done start already if you play a piece of classical music on Pan.
Mm-hmm. It has a different sound. In fact, the only thing I could ever play on Pan was a piece of classical music. Make us play Swan Lake out of everything.
I want to disagree with.
It's so nice, but it's so versatile. That's the thing. It's versatile. You could play anything, any type of music. I've heard East Indian music, Africa. I've heard everything.
All the notes on the piano is on the pan.
Yeah.
But
it is right there.
I must say, when you compete against the Comancheros and the West Side, and the thing that is lacking today is the whole question of movie scores, because Panmen used to listen. They were not trained musicians, but movie scores, Dr. Zhivago, Valley of the Dolls, and music like that. They were able to incorporate. I remember a time Angel Harps went on the Esplanade, what is now the Esplanade Mall, and we did the song Shaft with one of the most profound drummer ever passed through Grenada. Keaty is his name. We did Shaft. The Sister Loti said, these boys can't play that song. And we did. We did everything. He had a time, the same festival we went in. No, we did a brass and steel with the
police band.
The police band, brass and steel, and we toured Grenada, all the parishes. And they were reading music, and when Clarkson came, he realized we playing the song in one key, and the police band playing the song by the music score. Well, who is going to change? That'll be the pan men. And we did it in 2 days, poets and peasants. And we went St. Andrews, we went St. Patrick's. So we have to incorporate brass and steel, pan and steel, individual competitions, whatever. And again, I say we have to think out the box. One of the things that we need to do, try to give the bands an opportunity to travel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know the last time a band traveled out of this country with the flag waving and pan music playing. You can't do it. I mean, between Ryan and I am working on something now where somebody is trying to get Angel Harps up next year. And I hope it will work out, because these young people need to go out, not just stay in the pan house, not regulated to just a truck. And another criticism is early retirement of pan men. I'm sure Brian already retired from pan.
Oh no,
that's a problem. That is a problem. When you look at
push me in the pan yard in a wheelchair.
when you look at Despers and you look at Renegades and Invaders, you have great grandfathers. Even if they can't knock, they're going to push, but they're there. We have a lot of early retirement pan men in Grenada, and that need to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Devon is one, unretired.
Well, by the same token, by the same token. No, but before you go on, let me just add a part of the question that you'd asked me earlier on. You know, the Steel Band Association. I'm talking pre 2017. Between September, well, starting right after Carnival, which started 2 years ago, in terms of events outside of Carnival that the steel bands would put on and take part in. Started 2 years ago, we started Saturday after Carnival doing a last lap. Mm-hmm. That is an annual event, and again, it will continue after Saturday after Carnival in August 2018. Various steel bands between that event in August and January, February will put on events throughout. We'll go to Dimensions, we'll put on Rainbow City. There's a new band in Sates who would do an event. So we do events. The thing about it is that the calendar for us to do events are not 12 months, simply because of the composition of the steel band. Most of the bands and most of the larger bands you would find, they'll probably be 70 to 80% young people. By the time you get into January, February, you start clashing with things like exams and sports and spelling bee and all of those things. So it cuts down on the period in which the Steel Band Association and by extension the various bands can have an activity. Once you get past February, March, and you start going into Easter and sports and final exams, there's absolutely no way these things can happen. So we do put on events, but it's a short period. That window of opportunity is a very short period. It's from, like I said, basically from August to probably February for the earliest, for the latest. So yeah, and again, these are things that we will continue to do to enhance and to bring pan out to the people and try to reach as much of the communities as possible.
Let me ask a question though, because it's been mentioned several times that we have a lot of young people involved in steel pan. What seems to be the problem with them being able to convince some of their peers to come on out? And we're also seeing situations where there are households which may even have as much as 2 or 3 young
Yes.
people involved in steel pan, but the parents ain't coming out.
Well,
Not
yes,
that they're working, not that they're busy, but it just ain't coming.
No, and I think that aspect of it spells more to a societal problem than before. Family used to go places together. You don't really see that anymore. I mean, and that's as frank as I can get. You see kids going one direction, parents going in the other direction. When I was growing up, and my uncle would take me down to the panyard. That was when the pawn show, played. You would see families walking down the road. They would be going for ice cream. I think we have lost that sort of that gel, that unity.
Now everybody like this.
Exactly. I mean, you go somewhere, and you have groups of friends in the same environment, and they all individuals. They're all chatting somewhere else. They're somewhere else. The 6 or 7 of them, and each carrying a separate conversation on their phones.
We're seeing some people stand up next to each other and talking to each other on the mobile phone.
But
that's why sometimes you have lime and you say leave the phone out. Leave the phone outside the lime.
It's not only in Grenada that pan is going through this phase. In Trinidad, I don't know if you follow what is going on with Diaz and the rest of them. They are now going through a phase, and they are taking the pan outside the panorama. I saw a piece a few days ago with Devon Store doing the panorama tune, and the crowd and the following, and it was encouraging, So one of the things we need to do, Angel Harp suffer from the whole question that it moved from the community, when I say that, on the carnage with Empire Cinema. Because a lot of people, when they look at the carnage or the wharf, they think it's the second burial ground in St. George. It's not. The carnage was the center of commerce. We had Empire Cinema, we had Angel Harp's Pan House, Profit Shop was a grocery store, not a shop. We had, activities going on, and we had Old Trafford, and so moving away from the, it's no longer community, and that is missing. That aspect, missing. Even with Dimension, yes, is in the heart of tongue, but that community, at times when Angel Harps members would go to listen to Dimension, and Devon and them would stop play.
Why you want to listen to what we have and strategy? But they
it was that fierce. It was that fierce.
It was really good. I really don't want to miss that before you guys go. Now, we have seen over the years a number of pan men pass through, good pan men, arrangers, and so. I mean, Tiloti is one that come to mind. We still have a couple of them that's alive, right? And so, what is there in place to recognize, right, or to continue, in the footstep of these guys from a pan association or
good question,
pan, perspective? What is there in place?
Well, Devon, it's difficult for me to say what's in place. Like I said, I'm looking from the outside in terms of. What I can speak of is of Angel Harps. We continue to produce young arrangers out of Angel Harps. We benefit tremendously from James Clarkson's experience, along with people like Andy Chester. We have, like I said, we have been able to produce young arrangers. It is our intention with our present pan tuner that we are looking to move more into the business aspect of pan with his assistance. We've started the process of a panyard, which we hope to complete in the not too distant future. Within that, there will be a pan tuning room, a small bar cafeteria, a small amphitheater, those sort of things. More look at the business aspect of pan. We're also hoping to introduce within the walls of Angel Harps also some measure of a pan tuning school, which would not only be open to Angel Harps, but to anyone who wants to participate. Now, this is all in conjunction with our tuner. gentleman by the name of Dudley Dixon. Dudley lives in England. He tunes so bands in England called a band in England called Ebony, among so many others that he does in Europe. He's actually Grenadian from St. Andrews, and his intent is to come back here and pass his skill on. So these are some of the things that we are working on, and we hope to get in government, because it's while it's part of the Angel Harps initiative. It is not something that we plan to keep for ourselves, but we plan to have it on a national scale. I know all of that is is part of what's also included in the MOU, and we will probably look to work together with the government, with private organizations, to make these things become a reality. So in doing that, we're looking at being able to fabricate pans, being able to fabricate, a full and proper fabrication factory where you can do not just pans, but you can do all sorts of memorabilia, all sorts of stuff, so you have the aspect of pan tuning, you have the aspect of arranging, you have the aspect of making pans, because right now all the bands in Grenada, they buy pans out of Trinidad, and it's I can't tell you how costly that is.
Because that was my next question. The steel pans that we're seeing here now, if any, are produced in Grenada or tuned in Grenada.
Tuned in Grenada, yes, produced in Trinidad, but you have tuners coming up and tuning them. So
no
Birch so comes up, and Dudley comes down, and a couple of the tuners related to certain bands will come and primarily for the carnival. So you have that going here, but the intent is to get local people involved in the making and the tuning of bands. Depo alluded to it earlier. We had there were pan tuners, there were Grenadian pan tuners before, and that sort of died off because there was no investment in that aspect of the culture, like I said, you could look at mass the same way, because there are no wire benders around, no one making costumes anymore, so again it has to come out of the Ministry of Culture with assistance and support by those various organizations like the Mass Bands Association, the Steel Band Association, etc.
Let me ask this question though. There used to be that marriage between the steel pans and the pretty mass. What has happened? I realize Comancheros. I must comment Comancheros.
Yes.
You still see Comancheros, and
Sheldon,
still try to think, but what is up?
Yes.
Sheldon, Depo spoke about it a little earlier when he went back to the Monday night mass. The first Monday night mass had, I think, 3 or so steel bands on the road. Angel Harps was one of them, and this was when we were sponsored by NCB, right? We had several issues on the road. The days when there were you used to call them hi-fi or Wi-Fi, hi-fi in those days. You had one speaker on a truck. You don't have one speaker on a truck anymore. You have a trailer load of speakers. There's absolutely no way today you can compete with that sort of a power, So we need legislation in my view, to protect that around Carnival. You still have issues where steel bands will be passing and DJs won't turn down. It still happens. As much as we're in the 21st century, it still happens. In the 60s, there would have been fight. So they wouldn't have taken the chance, they would have turned down. But, the composition of the steel band has changed so much where you have so many young people. Bajan again. The
old Bajans relax.
The old Bajans have arthritis and so on. So
but another thing too, another aspect of Pan on the Road, one of the greatest aspect of Pan on the Road happened on Granby Street.
Oh yeah.
Used to be called the Bomb Tune. I remember Angel Harps playing and breaking Amado glass. They played the song Teddy Bear Picnic in Calypso, and the bands would stop there, and they would have a bomb tune piece. As a matter of fact, you alluded to that earlier. When the vehicle came, we were preparing to turn in order to do the bomb tune, and they made a mistake. The band split in two. That's early 70s.
71?
71. Yeah, and the vehicle came and decided they were going to run through angel harps. I mean, I'm talking about the angel harps with Smasher, with Sabu, with Sylvan, with Ming. I mean, these names.
You had the name to begin with.
the names like that, the old timers out there would know them.
It instills fear.
Yeah, and well, you know how that turned out. Who couldn't swim learned to swim that day, who couldn't run. Yeah, and it was a turning point. But what I'm saying, that bomb tune aspect, people would leave their homes, come down Market Hill, wait by Granby Street to judge. We didn't have an official judge who won that bomb tune, that Juve morning. And that was something that people look forward to. Yeah. So.
All right, folks, you can get in on the conversation 440-7377. That's 440-7377.
Those who want to get you from overseas, 347-329-3101. Give us a call.
The Pradine fella tell me to make sure I tell the other Pradine fella that he's listening. That's Toro.
Yeah, Toro. Younger brother.
Toro said to make sure that the man in the studio, they know he's listening. So I'm making sure.
To come back to the question, I think it lends also to the overall appreciation of Pan in the masqueraders' eyes. Because you hear some masqueraders simply and clearly say to you, they're not jumping to no steel pan. You know? So I know that Cheros right now is struggling with it in the sense that they're the only one remaining. The band is now split in two with the I think either the front or the back jumps with the steel band, and then they have a regular music truck at the back. So as you can see, it's been phased out. You know, I remember in the early 70s, you know, when as a very young fellow, my uncle dragging me into Angel Harps. You know, I remember playing Sailor Mass with Angel Harps, and you know, the back of Angel Harps coming down Market Hill and front of Angel Harps on, you know, on Hillsborough Street. You know, that alone, you know, tells you how many people we used to have playing mass in a band. You know, and everybody would, you know, chip in and jump into pan music. There was a more of an appreciation to pan music, you know, in those times than now. So you would find that most people now gravitate, most mass band leaders will automatically select a DJ over a steel band. You know, I mean, times have changed somewhat, you know, but, you know, we still need to look and find an avenue. One of the things that I was really disappointed about, and I was really hopeful, you know, when the whole aspect of Monday Night Mass came into being, you know, I really hoped it was an era. I saw it as an avenue where steel band and traditional mass could have been displayed. I mean, it's now so much commercialized. I'm not knocking it, but I'm saying then and there I was hopeful that this is what it would have led to. You know, you know, there's still I still do believe there's still some place for it.
Yeah.
You know, Old Mass right now is suffering from the multitude of jab bands. There's still people who wants that aspect of carnival, whether it may mean bringing that aspect and pan into St. George's itself, and leaving the tradition, the more traditional jab bands to parade down Tantine, the Port Highway onto the Carnage, that sort of thing, because the Old Mass is losing a stage to apply the portrayal on Juve morning.
Let's just take this call. Good morning.
Hello.
Hi. Good morning.
Hello.
Hi. We're hearing you. Go right ahead, caller.
Okay. Therefore, saying hi to you. This is Marlene.
Yeah.
And what I have to say about steel band. Steel band make carnival. Carnival make steel band. And I think personally, the reason why these big bands or the boom boom whatever is successful, because these young people do not know about enjoying carnival, shipping, and dancing. All they know is whining. They can't whine to the steel band. And I think if you give people choices, like you say, Comancheros give the boom boom in the front and maybe the steel band in the back, I think that's a good option. Because Juve morning when Sheldon Scott come up, I mean, basically everybody go there to get their little chip. The
Yeah.
older people, you don't see young people in the band. And I think that's one of the big issues. Anyway, that's my subject to the whole situation. Therefore, hi.
Hi.
Enjoy yourself in Grenada.
Hi, my dear.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's what Dash was alluding to with the chip. You know, that was an aspect of Carnival that the chip, and we have lost that. We have lost that.
Okay, I think we have another caller. Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, caller. Go right ahead.
Yeah, this is sporting activities and the cultural activities. You have people that are good and very good in different fields. But at a tender age, maybe 30-something, 40-something, they resign or they retire from playing the pan. Right? So I do believe when we can train that in Calviso, men like Sparrow, Stalin, at the age of 60, 70, they still partake in Masgra. But in Grenada here, by the time Calviso with 30, 40-something years, they retire, even in the pan. Right? A man may play for he's 40 years, it takes him time to give up. So you see, I do believe we need a blend of the young and the young and the old. Right? As one of the person was saying, that they have different activities during the year. But yes, they are children playing that go to do exam. But I do believe it's like the children that have to do exam are going to school. What if like they say, Angel have to have any activities, you could use the elder, those who left school already, to go out and play. Right? To go out and play in different activities, like go to hotels and different things. Because remember them children now doing exams, so they get different who allow them to go out and play. So those senior citizens in the bank could go out and play. Right? And I do believe, Brother Sheldon, we the Grenadian people, we need to support. Because when you look in sports, when we go out and support our children in sports, I think we go out and support them. But in other things, like Panorama, or we have children playing, we don't support them because we don't like it. But we go encourage our children to go and play. So I say, once our children play, we should go and support our children in everything. Because it's good to see that and to know that our children are good person in the playing pan. So we need to support our children in whatever activities they take part in. So, Brother Shell, I want to say, you all have a wonderful day. God bless you all.
All right, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, one of the things that I think need to be done also, from observation, the Sylvan Association must look towards a safety net for former PAN players. With some disappointment, I see some of my former PAN men as they struggle. During that time there was no NIS, there were, that Social Security. I think the PAN Association should move in a matching fund way to create a safety net to assist former PAN men that are now sort of by the wayside, that they can assist them. Look at something where where you can give a little, so that they can at least live comfortable. Each band, when they play out, put aside something in a PIS, PAN. NIS is the acronym for what? National
Insurance Scheme, yeah.
Okay, so PAN Insurance Scheme. Yeah, well, I like PIS.
No, we go for another acronym.
Yeah,
we go for another acronym. No piss.
Well, what I'm saying is something to
SBIF.
Some kind of
other
insurance one.
Yes, a safety net for former PAN players, even athletes, former footballers, cricketers. I know you mentioned that earlier in the week, Sheldon and Devon, and I think that is something that need to be done, a safety net to assist visits to these people.
But is it something that we as a people have to look at in a holistic manner? Yeah. And I keep going back on this program and prior programs to the fact that we are seeing some of our Calypsonians, for instance, passing to the great beyond. And there's nothing that's been put in place by a Calypso Association or so that says these are our members. We are here to represent our members. We are here to safeguard our members. We're here to safeguard the art form itself. And in order to do that, we must remember our members and so on. Because you've had Calypsonians basically dying, and then people have to find money to bury them. You've had that happening. I ain't gonna call names, but you've had that happening. And these are people whose music is in Sweden, it's in Japan, it's in Australia, New Zealand, it's all over the world. But even the royalties have not been coming back in a serious way because the structure itself has not been forced into place. How do we address that as well for the steel pan man? How do we address it across the board in culture for the guys who do drumming, for the people who do the dance itself, like the big drum dance and the nation dance and that sort of thing, who have contributed some form or fashion to our culture? How do we become? I mean, it's pretty easy to say, okay, government, but then government. I mean, every time we look at government. But how can the associations start the ball rolling in relation to that sort of thing?
And that's why I mentioned a matching fund. At least government could set the platform. I'm not one to say government need to do that. I don't think so.
No,
I mean, you lay the platform and so on for that safety net structure, and you move from there. I think it's very important that steel band, the mindset of the Steel Band Association, Mass Band Association. One of the things we need to do is to keep reminding people. I mean, a lot of young people never heard of Arwe. A lot of people never heard of mass players that bending wires and doing different from Ken Sylvester, people of that sort who brought John Bruno, guys like John Bruno. I'm going way back now in Adam times.
Even have the Patterson.
The Patterson, Dorothy and Robert Patterson. I'm talking about the
Fatty Derrick.
And the kaleidoscope of mass coming down Market Hill was another glorious something that we lost.
I need to find out something though. And just one question. How are you to hold the steel pan from rolling down Market Hill on a Juve morning with oil all over the place?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Really and truly. I don't think I don't think in all my years I ever heard an incident where a steel pan got away and rolled down.
It never
and damaged.
But it wasn't a matter of holding, it was an art. You have to move. You couldn't stand up. If you stood up, if you attempted to stand up, you would have had a problem.
Coordination.
So it was exactly
moving
because there were times it will go sideways and the guys at the back knew they had to go the other way and the guys at the front.
There were special guys.
One time I didn't used to be a wrong Market Hill.
There were special guys. There were special guys who basically were controlling these different sections.
I'd be quite down by pitch pine bar watching me.
And then they used to call out and say, okay, this way or that way. So you had that kind of coordination. And so, going on around. A suggestion, though, that I really wanted to put forward. Somebody made it that during the school activities during the year, from intercall sports, whatever, we should have the different schools who have bands and so get them involved in these activities to basically get more attention by the young people for PAN, more appreciation for PAN. Intercall sports, right? You have 3 days of intercall sports. You can have every day have one or two bands coming there and playing. And so
when you want intercall finish 12 o'clock in the night.
No, I mean
you have a point there, but one of the things too that you do have a bit of an overlap with the student population. When you have some of the same students that are running, are dancing, are playing pan,
you can remedy that.
No, I'm not saying you can't. Yeah. I'm not saying you can't. But it's because like everything else. You have an organization and you have 4 people that does everything in it.
Devon is onto something.
But you see, you want to. Okay, we claim young people make up 70-75% of the pan playing population. You want to attract their peers, their followers. What better place to do it in activities where
I agree.
Young people assemble and give them a taste of pan.
I agree.
But
right?
Devon, I don't know if you remember during Intercall.
Just one moment. We have a caller.
Yes, therefore, what I have to say to you is, you should really ask, that question should be asked about the Steel Bank Commodore Market here to Malu. People like Malu knew how to control that time Commodore Market here.
Yeah.
And he's still an active person in the Steel Bank situation. Bye.
Yeah, Malu knee is not good. He's struggling with his knee, I guess, is from. But Devon is onto
intercall.
Devon is onto something with the intercall. Angel has played in every intercall up until 1973 or 73. There was a steel band. Every intercall, you had a steel band at the bottom of the Queen's Park pavilion playing. And fortunately, they always, I know I'm going to get some flack for that, call on the best. So we were there. So that is something that could be looked at,
And there are now so much more school activities that can be incorporated into. But as you were saying earlier on about that safety net, I think it's something that the organizations, the associations, the mass bands, the steel bands need to chart the way forward, with obviously some assistance to government, because it borders on a national program to some extent, because there's so much people throughout the length and breadth of our island. And like I said, it's not only to plan, it's not only to sports, it's holistically, I think we do not look after our people when that time comes. I know there's a lot of talk now about the national insurance scheme and all of that. So all of these things can fit into that entire thing.
Let me ask the question here though. We've heard quite a lot here. Some stories that anytime the four persons in this room pass on, and those who are listening, there may be a situation where there are many persons that never hear these stories about when Veco and sailors take knock in tongue, or where Bomb Tune used to play. Some people listening now don't even know where Amados was in tongue. So they say Granby Street. A lot of people don't know where Granby Street is. You're saying Granby Street. A lot of people don't know where Granby Street is.
You're correct.
So you're saying these things. What is being done by individuals like yourselves to chronicle these bits and pieces of information? I know I can go online now and I can buy a book on reggae history, and I could find out everything about from Bob Marley to U-Roy to Burning Spear to Toots Animators or whoever, inclusive of pictures from back in the day and that sort of thing. What is being done to chronicle? I'm sure you have photos from back in the 70s and so one or two that should be there. Right. So that what is being done to put these things into an archive that is there, as well as some of the recordings from the 1973 and the years gone by, some of the recordings that the steel bands would have done they may even be as far back as the 60s, but definitely the 70s and the 80s and so. What are people like yourselves doing to chronicle these things and put it together? Others rough up Devon on the Revel, and others start roughing up another Revel man just now. Roughing up Devon on the Revel to chronicle steel pan. We must chronicle it.
Well, in 2000, we had a reunion, and we did put out a magazine that I don't know if it's available to the public. When we had our 50th anniversary,
3 years ago.
Yeah, we also put out a magazine chronicling the events of Angel Harps with the Veco. We had a forum, but that's a good suggestion. I'm in the process of doing something. I'm not a writer or anything like that. It's something called Between the Rock and My Heart Place, and it's about politics, people, and pan. Lead the politics. PPP. Again, you have to be careful with it.
Let brother write it for you. You give brother the info you write. Toro could write.
Again, you have to be careful with these acronyms,
Very much so. Politics comes into play.
But the focus is, trying to get photographs. And we have a little studio thing in New York, as a matter of fact. Brian knows about it, where we take old photographs, pictures from way back. We bring for people here, and they're astonished that we have photographs such as, old Mars bands coming down Market Hill, steel bands. So that's to answer your question, we should put something together whereby we can chronicle events and history, because as they say, if somebody write your history, is their history. If you write it, it's history. So that's a good idea, and that's something that I personally would try to get involved in. The whole question of we have started, because we could incorporate the 2000 magazine with the 2015 magazine. We did a long piece on the vehicle. We did a piece on the convent girls, the first girl who played with Angel Harps officially, Antonia Bernard, and a lot of different stories. When Angel Harps broke up in 69, the band was absolutely demolished after the Panchuna left, and it was Miss Fletcher in Terrace Street, Cheryl Fletcher's grandmother, I think, or aunt. She decided, no, the band is going to remain. And she ran a wire from her house, the pan house, and they selected Brother Broff to tune the pan, and Angel Harps continued. It's an institution. So we have to chronicle these things. And though, I mean, there are a lot of stories. I remember when you're practicing, there must be a cook. You must cook a pot. I remember in youthful days in Angel Harps, some guys went to get a cup of fowl to cook. And the fowl cook couldn't open, so they took the whole cook.
That's Bajan in people.
Around that time, the carnival guy fowl used to they hide.
Added to that whole aspect of chronicling the history, Angel Harps has a website which gives you a brief idea, a brief description of its history and its achievements, and we were actually having a little discussion, not too long ago about adding pictures and some song bites and some of the music that was played back then. But yeah, but on another note to that, and in addition to that, I think that is also needed on a national level. Each band can develop theirs, and then we all put everything together, and have something holistic, So, for the viewers out there, if you're interested, angelharps.com, angelharpsgrenada.com, and you can have a viewing of our history. It's a work in progress.
I don't want to leave without mentioning Evelyn Ross.
Yes.
I don't know if you ever heard of the name Evelyn Ross.
Tip Top record.
Evelyn Ross. I mean, during my time, when you have Panorama, when you have Queen Show, the JCs and the Lions were responsible, and they had magazines even before knowing who would be participating, and this gentleman Evelyn Ross, he was like the godfather of the band. Even when the band, went out to get sponsor, like Johnny Walker, the sponsor would say, "Mr. Ross, I know you, and I know the guys. I'll give you the money, but don't mention my name." That is how we were viewed. Mm-hmm. And so, they because of the reputation of the band, and I must confess, these guys, they had the name Angel Harps, but they were no angels,
Well, to be a pan man in those days, you had to be able to fight, because the thing ran deep in the village. It was village against village. At the end of it, that's how it is. That's how it was. That rivalry was a very strong rivalry.
And today we have, coming out of the band, we have engineers, doctors, lawyers, the transition, and it's now an institution, and we need to acknowledge that.
And even back in the day, when you had the different splits of the band, it gave rise to most steel bands coming out, Because you talk about back in '69 when you split, I can talk about in the 80s when Guinness split, and now you have New Dimension and you have the River Road.
Yeah, coming out of that split,
coming
you
out
had
of
New
that,
Tones.
T and
New
Beck,
Tones.
you know, and you see, you know.
I tell you something, Devon. It had one time they said that a steel band, I think was early 70s, won the Esplanade plane. And you know, us being so pompous and so on, in Pan, we went on the Esplanade and we saw this band, well dressed. It was a band from Grand Roy. And most of them migrated. Devon, I tell you, when we heard that band, we were humbled. It was a band from Grand Roy. We asked what part of Trinidad they came from. They said, no, it's a band. We said, no, that can't be a band from Grand Roy. We were humbled by that band. Most of the, so what I'm saying, even beyond St. George's and so on, bands in Grand Roy, Florida All Stars beat Angel Labs once, Florida All Stars, the band from St. Andrews, transportation is another aspect, but that would take another time to in terms of transportation, which is something that affect most of the
I think it'll be much easier now to get transportation, right? To move the pans and so. You have more trucks, you have bigger size trucks, you have
sometimes it's
not money at the paper. And I think one of the main
yeah.
problem that we've been seeing when it comes to our culture is that some of the businesses that benefit the most from our culture refuse to put a single cent back into the product. So every year you would have the Spice Mass Corporation looking for money and then having to go up now and fight against the Pure Grenada Cup. They have to fight against the Grenada Invitational. They have to fight against all the different activities to try and get their share of the pie. And every year something new cropping up again to take some more. You have the Pure Grenada Music Festival, all these things popping up and taking more and more of the pie. And while you have the Spice Mass Corporation, which has to look after everybody with that, you still have the steel pan themselves having to go now and try and fight up to try and get its own funding now to try and get somebody to sponsor the band and so on, because you have to be able to move from one location to the other for the actual activity itself, plus the practicing in the night. You can't have members that live in, for instance, in Beaujeju, and they're coming down to Tantine to practice and then have to walk home after. You have to have transportation to be able to move them around. So we know there are different incidentals that are included, but the biggest problem are the people that benefit the most. And there's one particular company. One day when I in the mood, I'll call the name. But there's one particular company that I know of. I ain't think it of another company. No, not yours, Brian. I don't think...
because we give back.
No, I understand. Brian and Miners, I don't worry about Brian and Miners. Brian and Miners does do the part. But there's one particular company that does benefit, I believe, more than any other company in Grenada, and does not put back a single cent into the mass product, the steel pan, any aspect of Carnival. So they want nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
But they benefit the most from it. So I think that many of them need to start playing their part and giving back to the product. Because if the product has to build, everybody has to play a part in it. It can't just be the steel pans. It can't just be the people on the street. All of us have to play our individual part. The DJs who want to keep on the music when the steel pan passing have to understand, no, this is part of our culture. If we lose that, we lose part of ourselves. So that they have to turn off the music when the steel pan passing. So we have to understand these different aspects of it.
Respect.
Definitely. Folks, it is now 10 minutes after the hour of 12 o'clock. We quickly running out of time. We're going to take a little bit of 5 minutes again. We can do 97.5. You know Django like in that conversation. You know that.
Django is a pan, man. Pan right in front of your face.
You know Django like in that conversation.
And to all the other pan houses or pan steel band, don't get too thing because Angel Apps is in here. Right?
Well, we're speaking on behalf of
the pan. You all are invited because there are so many things that can be done, right, to continue enhancing the pan and sewing grade. That it's needed to be done.
We had to applaud the young ladies, the talented young panists, the ladies we have to applaud them.
Oh, yeah.
And
they're up and coming.
They take up and coming. They already came.
They're
here.
Yeah.
And we must applaud them, and we must stop viewing pan as just a hobby. It's a career. It's an institution. It can offer everything, higher learning and
discipline.
Yeah, discipline. Oh, for that discipline, you know, these young people study for exams. They stay wee hours in the pan house and still come out on top.
It's been proven that music helps the cognitive ability. It assists with your heart rate and all this sort of thing. African drumming, steel pan, and all these sort of things. And if you realize, the Japanese and the Chinese and so on, they always make sure that the child learn a musical instrument. At the same, I think we have a caller online. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Oops. Hey, sorry. Good morning. Go ahead, Gami. Yes, the Prodinade.
Morning, Mr. Deputy.
Morning, Gami.
Angela Roy. Well, you know, I remember Deputy Fraser, Maga. Oh, no, where's Maga, boy?
He's in Jersey.
These were the days of
He's in New Jersey.
Angela.
And
I remember when you hear Angela going that Christmas and the wind panorama, boy. We jumped in all day. Yes?
Yes,
This was a good day, you know.
Yeah, yes, Gami.
Yeah. I'm going to sit down and listen to them boys, you know. Big fan, you know. Hey.
Camille, I hope to see you by the pan
We
yard.
jumped in all day on the walk, boy. You don't have that now. I don't know what's going on. Anyhow, good morning to Patricia and everybody who's listening. And Scotty, I can't stay long.
Okay, my dear.
So I just want to say good morning to Mr. Deputy.
You call all name.
Gami.
Hey. You call all name. I ain't find you call Smasher name. I ain't find you call Smasher name. You call all name, you ain't call Smasher name.
Mr. Baseman.
I don't hear you.
You're calling all name, you don't call Smasher one.
Well, I can't remember everybody, but...
You can't remember Smasher? Okay.
A few of them well. And that man love his pan, you know. That man love his pan, you know.
Yes,
and when you hear Walkman, when the walk people come out, they're coming out behind the Walkman to support Angela. Perry again.
Yeah,
What's up, your brother?
Yeah.
Your brother used to play with Angela, you know. Perry, I think in America.
I know. That's also very rich in America.
Yeah.
All right, so you have a good day.
Okay, man.
I can't stay long. Good morning.
Yeah, in case you don't know, Sperry's my eldest brother. So
Sperry, that you used to play with Angela?
Sperry's my eldest brother.
You
Same mother. I'm the youngest, he's the eldest.
You gotta be kidding.
Yeah, Sperry's my brother. Same blood brother.
Yeah.
So you thought it was only Smasher is my uncle? No, Sperry's my brother.
Oh my God. But I told you the band came from that area.
Yeah.
And Sperry and all these guys and Smasher. There was a young man. Actually, before you play with Angel Harps, you had to learn to you had to play. And the guy, his name was Sabu. It was Sperry, Sabu, and Smasher. Unfortunately, he lost his life diving. He was a diver.
Mm-hmm.
And he taught me how to roll, and it was, you feel protected with these guys. I would say simply say protected.
Big brother of mine. Anyhow, folks, this is about all the time we have for today. I know a surprise a certain man didn't call. A surprise. That means that wap taxi busy this morning.
Yeah, busy this
that Wade ain't called, that taxi busy this morning. But folks, we know 97.5 has to run off. So that's about all the time we have for today. But before we go though, any final words?
Yeah, I let me go back to what took place last year, because it was not only a Grenada fiasco. Would you believe that that was an international news item with the stage? It was I read a piece in Sweden. No panorama, no stage. We can't allow that to happen again. There must be a stage to stage panorama. I hope they're working on that. I hope the Steel Band Association would not wait on others to build a stage. They would make sure there is a stage, And well, I know the Prime Minister said publicly that panorama would take place and a stage would be erected. So hopefully, and I just want to encourage steel band players and the Pan Jumbies, as they are called, that Pan is still alive. Pan will never die. But, you know, we need to support Pan. And we need to support the young people in this art form.
You know, I would echo what Depo has said. You know, I don't think you know, much people within the borders of Grenada understood the significance or the implications of what happened last year. Depo said he saw a piece in Sweden on the whole issue. You know, a friend of mine called me from Wales. This was even before I got home the Sunday morning at 5:30. We were still at the Panyard, and he called me and asked me what. Well, I can't tell you exactly his words, but you know what's really going on. You know what you guys are doing down there. You know, I say this to say, you know, I don't think this is a program for it. It's almost ended. You know, I'm asking the powers to be, the people in authority, please. What happened last year should never be allowed to have happened. Should never allowed to happen again. It seriously affected the youthfulness and the youth population of our island. And I will leave it just there to that. It is my hope that this would never happen again, although I'm a bit apprehensive because to this point, a lot that should have happened has not happened. But I will leave it there. I would just say that I am very hopeful that we have learned our lesson from last year, and we're on the way forward to put in Pan in Grenada, or where it is. The standard of Pan in Grenada is second to none, folks, and we should come to that realization of the art, the talent that we have in this country.
Indeed. Folks, we'd like to thank you for joining us for today's program. Remember, tomorrow morning, we would have Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. He's doing that post-cabinet press briefing tomorrow. That starts at 10 a.m. So yeah, you ain't going to be seeing these these two gentlemen. They will be on the other side where they'll be chatting on the inbox and them kind of thing and listening. And we're going to be in the studio, but you ain't going to see us. You'll see Prime Minister. You've seen somebody nicer than us and all kind of thing, right? Good. So that'll be taking place tomorrow. And remember, in everything you say, everything you do it safe and secure, because we want to be speaking to and with you.
And not about you.
Yeah. And before we go, you know, we can't end this program without bigging up two people, Lou Smith and Roll Garth.
Oh, yes.
I must big up these two people for constantly and consistently playing steel pan music on air. Lou Smith does it all the time. Campeche, up to, I think it was yesterday or day before, Campeche, I was listening to Campeche and he was playing some steel pan music. So he's one of the announcers on air, one of the stations that you know you could tune in and you will hear some steel pan music, whether it's in the morning, in the evening. You have no special time for it. If you know Campeche is a kind of man, you have no special time for it. When you're ready, you put on the steel pan music. So we'd like to congratulate both of them and hope that some of the others I don't have it all at plate. Some of the others start to follow suit and do the same. Folks, that's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank all the stations. Thank all of you that would have joined us. We are out of here.
Peace out.